All right, we're on. Wayne Root with my usual hoarse voice. That's what happens when you get sick for a couple days and then you get completely over it, but you talk 3 hours a day for a living. And in between talking 3 hours a day for a living, I'm on the radio usually doing 5 to 6 interviews a day, usually doing 1 TV interview a day. I'm doing Good Morning Australia a couple of days for now, and Fox News and Newsmax TV, and I've got 4 kids, and I never stop talking to them, and they never stop talking to me. And then the rest of the day, I never shut up in phone calls. So you just can't get rid of your hoarse voice. It just doesn't go away. So it's probably going to be another few days, but I got to get rid of it because I'm on the friends and family invite list for the inauguration next week. So I'll be seeing my good friend Donald Trump and his entire cabinet, and a lot of good friends there as well, including Ben Carson and General Flynn and others who I've known for a while, who I want to say hi to, and hopefully my voice will be recovered. So it's what I'm really trying to say is it's your fault. It's all of you out there. If I didn't talk 3 hours a day to you, my voice would be fine. So, you owe me an apology. I'm just kidding. The show is War Now. I'm Wayne Root, otherwise known as War, your middle-class warrior, relentless freedom fighter, conservative rock star, capitalist evangelist, and entrepreneurial badass. I'm a warrior for God, guns, gold, tax cuts, term limits, and Trump. That's the combination that saves America, capitalism and American exceptionalism. I want to thank Donald Trump for winning the election because I would have to change that whole tagline of my show. So lucky you won. You really would have screwed me over, so thank you. My books, The Power of Relentless, number one best-selling business book, 2015, Angry White Male. My best-selling political book, 2016, that predicted the whole Trump election. My website, Root for America, Root, R-O-O-T, like my last name, foramerica.com. Why? Because that's what I do all day. I root for America. The only radio host in America who's an SOB, son of a butcher, small businessman, homeschool dad. Call-in phone number for the show, 702-546-4790, 702-546-4790, why 4790, because this is 790 Talk Now in Las Vegas, as well as 98.1 FM in Palm Springs. And as I announced last week, we are about to announce that we are being nationally syndicated, and you'll hear us all over the United States in the year 2017. I was just finishing up the press release at my home an hour ago, and we should be able to announce something in the next couple of weeks. This show is sponsored by Swiss America, the gold standard, the #1 precious metals company in America, one of the biggest precious metals companies in the world, a name you can trust, a brand name with credibility and honesty and integrity. Contact Swiss America at 800-BUY-COIN, 800-BUY-COIN, B-U-Y coin, or go to SwissAmerica.com. Now it's time for my world-famous Root Rant, and it really is going to be world-famous as we get nationally syndicated. And my Root Rant is just the fact that I like to react to the things that are going on in the news today, and I usually start every show with a review of some of the things I'll be ranting about throughout the show. So without further ado, let's start with Meryl Streep. Last night, an award show, Golden Globes, and Meryl Streep made an ass out of herself, as usual. Most of the Hollywood types are asses. And she said some really stupid things, namely that Hollywood couldn't exist without foreigners. And Donald Trump hates foreigners. And so you couldn't even watch a movie without the people Donald Trump hates. Now, last I checked, I like Sly Stallone. He was born in America. I like Al Pacino, born in America. I like Robert De Niro. I guess I like only Italians. Born in America. I like any number of people. George Clooney is a liberal ass, but at least he was born in America. You name somebody who's a star on TV or movies, he's an American. She's an American. I don't understand what the hell Meryl Streep is talking about, but last I checked, Hollywood would be just fine if it was, as Donald Trump and I would love, America first. I don't sit around watching foreign flicks all day. And I watched the things Meryl Streep made fun of. She said, without foreigners, there'd be no Hollywood. And without Hollywood, we'd all be watching NFL football and mixed martial arts, which, by the way, isn't an art. So there's an example of the snobby, snotty, elitist ass that most of these people in Hollywood are. Okay? Because first of all, there are many things in life I don't like, but I will call them an art. Okay, I'm not an artist, but I would call someone who has an amazing ability to draw paintings an artist. I would call someone who's a composer an artist. I don't personally know how to do it. She doesn't like football, so it's not an art. She doesn't like mixed martial arts, so it's not an art. So there she is telling us, I don't like Donald Trump because he's too close-minded, and she's the most close-minded person in the world. There she is telling us she doesn't like Donald Trump because he offends people who aren't like him. And what's she doing? Offending people who aren't like her. I could live my whole life without seeing a freaking Fellini film. I don't give a flip about Fellini or foreign films, okay? I like watching shoot-'em-up gangster movies with Robert De Niro and Al Pacino. So I don't need foreign actors. There aren't any foreign actors, last I checked, in those films, okay? So Meryl Streep is an ass. And so, once again, Hollywood is taking a very big chance. I want to make sure everybody out there understands this. The NFL made a big mistake. The NFL was this Goliath that could never be stopped. No one could ever stop or slow the NFL until Colin Kaepernick came along. Another ass who got on his knees when the national anthem was played. And from that point on, the NFL's ratings nosedived. Gone. Boom. Down 18%, 19%, 20%, in some cases 25%. TV ratings, sales of paraphernalia, ticket sales, all down dramatically since players decided to kneel during the national anthem in favor of Black Lives Matter. Because the NFL mostly has common sense fans of every race, but mostly white middle-class fans. The same people that voted for Donald Trump. The same people who realize that nothing in the whole world is more stupid than Black Lives Matter. Not because Black lives don't matter. I absolutely believe Black lives matter. But I also believe white lives matter. I believe all lives matter. And I believe it's kind of idiotic and arrogant and ignorant to think only your life and your race matters. Because if I said white lives matter, you'd call me a racist and throw me off the airwaves. But you can get away with it in a reverse racist society that rewards people who say black this and black this and black that and black that. But God forbid you ever said, let's have a white Miss America pageant. You'd get thrown out. You'd lose your job. You'd lose your career. Because that's racist. But having Black Entertainment Network on TV, that's okay. Can't have White Entertainment Network, can you? Those are the same people that think to stop someone from going to college because of the color of their skin is racist. And they're right. If you say you can't go to college because you're black, I won't let you in. That's racist, right? But those same people think nothing of saying, I won't let you in because you're white. We've got to let in a certain quota of black people, even if they have a straight D average. They're going to beat out your son who has an A average because your son is not a rich white kid. How about a working class Italian kid from Youngstown, Ohio? And just because you're black, you think you deserve to get in ahead of him because your relatives were persecuted 100 years ago? Get the frick over it, man. That was a long time ago, and I really don't care anymore. Neither does anybody else. Get over yourself, okay? I'm Jewish. Guess what? My relatives were murdered, enslaved, and gassed in Nazi Germany. That was a long time ago, and nobody cares anymore. And you know what? Before that, they were enslaved by the Egyptians and the Romans. Get over it. I don't care. Nobody cares anymore. I'm not asking for reparations. I'm not asking for quotas. I'm not asking for affirmative action. So when those NFL players got on their knees for Black Lives Matter, and smart people with common sense realized, wait a minute. In Chicago, every day, 25 black people get shot by other black people. And every weekend, 50 black people get shot by other black people. And nobody is marching in protest. Not Jesse Jackson, not Al Sharpton, not Colin Kaepernick. But if one black kid with a rap sheet 6 miles long who attacks a cop is shot and killed by the cop, that is a major protest. That's a demonstration. That's the nation brought to a halt. That's rioting. That's buildings burned down. That's people killed. That's people shot because one kid who was fighting with cops got shot by a white cop. But every day, Blacks are shot by blacks on the streets of Chicago, Detroit, Baltimore, Philly, Memphis, Atlanta, Cleveland, you name New Orleans, you name the bad inner city. There's a black on black genocide going on, and black politicians like Obama don't care. No press conferences, no protests, no million-man marches, no nothing. Explain that to me. One kid shot by a white cop, the earth burns down. The earth tilts on its axis in protest. But if blacks kill hundreds of other blacks on the streets of Chicago, nobody cares. No black leader cares. No black politician cares. President doesn't call a press conference. So when we hear Black Lives Matter, we laugh. It's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. It's so bizarre that I care about black kids getting killed on the streets of Chicago, but black leaders and our black president don't care. They want to care about one black kid shot by one cop twice a year. So Colin Kaepernick made a fool of the NFL, and the NFL never responded, never punished him, never stopped him. So an awful lot of middle-class white people stopped watching the NFL and punished the NFL. So I don't know if Meryl Streep understands, but there's a limit to which you can act like a moron before the people who pay to see you stop paying to see you. And I'm not saying that any actor or musician or performer or entertainer should be a conservative or should be like me. No, I don't have that kind of ego. They should shut up and not talk about politics, because half the audience is probably liberal, half the audience is probably conservative. You're better off not discussing politics. Meryl Streep should shut up. All the activists on the Golden Globes should shut up. They're paid because they're pretty. They're paid because they're entertainers. They're not paid to talk politics. Shut up and stop it, or you're going to ruin and kill the goose that laid the golden egg, just like the NFL killed the goose that laid the golden egg and managed to hurt business badly this year because of those stupid demonstrations against the national anthem. All right, I'm Wayne Allyn. After that entire rant, I happen to come back with a great performer who is not going to talk politics, because I wouldn't let him if he tried. We're going to talk about his career, because he's one of the top entertainers in this town. He's an incredible guy. David Perico's with us. I count him as a good friend, and he's here today. Wayne Allyn. We'll be right back with David Perico. WAR Now. All right, Wayne Allyn, WAR Now, 790 Talk Now, as well as 98.1 FM in Palm Springs, and soon national syndication around this country. Now that the election is over, it's not like I am 24 hours Donald Trump anymore. We're spreading our wings a little bit. And I'm someone who really, they call me the capitalist evangelist. I appreciate success in all forms. And when I meet someone who's successful, I don't care whether it's politics or not. I don't care if it's a little far afield from my show. We're going to start interviewing successful people in many different fields. But when I meet someone who is really successful and I get awed, I say, I want him or her on this show. And so I did a event about a month ago now, before Christmas, called Toys for Tots. Great charity event. One of the great events in Las Vegas each year. And they set an all-time record. They raised $240,000 this year for the kids, toys for the kids, toys for the tots. And in the last 5 years, $1 million. And the people who make it happen each year are LJ Harness and David Perico, who is the main star on the stage. He's the trumpeter. He's the conductor. He's an award-winning composer. He is seen several times a week with his band, David Perico and the Pop Strings Orchestra, at Caesar's Palace, Cleopatra's Barge. And he is an award-winning jazz symphonic composition guy. He's been on a PBS series with his 20-piece band. He's everywhere, and I've heard his name for years, and I always heard he was this amazing guy. But I'm not out listening to music all the time because I'm a little busy with my life. And so I go to Toys for Tots, and first we met backstage, and he told me he was a fan of this show, which blew me away. Then I went out I did the opening of the show from the stage. Then I immediately went down and sat down in the audience with my friends, and we watched the show. And David Perico blew me away. The man is so freaking talented, and he runs the show. See, I like leaders. I take control of things. He takes control of that stage like he owns it. And he's got this band, this orchestra behind him where he assembled 15 gorgeous blondes playing violins and harps and whatever the heck they're playing. They look good. He is good. So without further ado, David Perico, welcome to War Now.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
How did you find those 15 gorgeous girls? How did you find all those gorgeous girls
Jeez,
who know how to
some
play?
Really nice words you just said. Thank you very much.
Well, you're talented, man. You're very, very, very talented.
Thank you. Thank you. I don't control anything. I just count it off and get out of the way.
Nah, you're too humble. You're too humble.
But no,
you were in
seriously,
charge on that stage.
Everybody involved in the Pop Strings Orchestra is, handpicked like a all-star baseball team. Mm-hmm. They're all great artists.
They're not all Vegas people, are they?
Yes, they are. They all play, like the girls that are in, for instance, in the string section.
Yes.
They play with Rod Stewart, Celine Dion, Beyonce, Martina McBride.
Wow.
So
on a night they're not with you doing your thing, they might be in the orchestra for one of those other big
or
performers.
on the road traveling.
Got it.
So I've got a bench, so to speak.
Yeah.
16 girls, and the string section is all girls.
Right.
Yeah.
Amazing. They're all beautiful.
They are beautiful. But
where do you find beautiful women who are great musicians? That's a tough combination.
It seems very indigenous to this town, but they are all firstly
beautiful
great.
women are indigenous to this town, but not beautiful women and a fantastic musician, let alone a violinist, say, as an example.
That's the prerequisite.
A cello player.
They've got to be great musicians, but it's a bonus when they all look like supermodels.
Yeah, it's amazing.
So, I don't know, something in the DNA or the genes. I don't know what's going on
guess.
there.
So wait, first of all, before anything else, congratulations on another great Toys for Tots.
Oh, thanks. Hats off to Cadillac of Las Vegas, the Marine Corps.
Yes.
You said LJ Harness.
LJ Harness.
Everybody there. And all the musicians and entertainers that donated their time. There were 20 different entertainers on that show.
It was a blow-away show.
In addition to the 22-piece orchestra, so to raise $240,000 this year. And
all-time record.
Yeah,
in a crappy economy.
It's an honor.
Yeah.
It really is an honor to be involved in that.
All right, cool. And you said you listen to this show. I don't want to get into your politics, but why do you listen to shows like this?
I listen to talk. So 790 is just always on the radio. I'm not listening so much for politics. I'm just listening to what's going on. Because there really isn't any good music on.
You just want to be informed.
Radio.
You want to be informed.
That's all. So whether I agree or not, but that's all. 790's on.
Cool. All right. More important is your background. I see Youngstown, Ohio is where you're born and raised.
Yes, sir.
So you're a roughneck. You kick people's ass. Is that what it is?
I don't know about that.
Everyone's like a kneecap breaker in Youngstown,
Ohio. Sometimes you got to straighten things out.
Yeah.
You got to straighten
there
things
you
out.
go. A lot of kneecap breakers. My career as a kid growing up on the streets of the Bronx, New York, I wanted to be Jimmy the Greek. That was my goal in life.
Jimmy the Greek.
And Jimmy the Greek is from Youngstown, Ohio.
He sure is.
So every time I think of Youngstown, I think of Jimmy. I'm Wayne the Jew, by the way. and you wound up, how does a kid from Youngstown, because I know you got you got a master's degree, you got a Bachelor of Music from Youngstown State,
yes.
Master's in Music from UNLV.
Yes.
How did you wind up at UNLV? Let's start with that.
Well, I was on the road. When I left Youngstown in 1994, I went on the road for 8 years with the Tommy Dorsey Orchestra. And
big name.
I was like 20 years old. I dropped out of college, dropped out of Youngstown State.
I assume Tommy Dorsey must be Glenn Dorsey's son. Is that right?
No. Tommy Dorsey Orchestra, that's just a big band, in the big band days.
Wasn't there a famous name from the 1940s with the same name, Dorsey? I thought
that's him.
Oh.
Tommy Dorsey.
He's still alive and well?
You're thinking of Glenn Miller.
Glenn Miller.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
So there's a Glenn Miller band, the Tommy Dorsey.
And the Tommy Dorsey, okay.
Tommy died in the 50s, but was taken over by a great trombone player, Buddy Morrow.
It's still got Tommy's name on it. Got it.
So he took over the band. We traveled 40 weeks a year all over the world. So I went out there for 8 years doing 40 weeks, one-nighters.
Being the trumpeter.
Trumpet, and then the last year I was on the band. I became road manager and a soloist and all that good stuff.
But how did you learn that you knew how to compose, you knew how to conduct? How do you go from trumpeter to running the show?
It's just something I've always wanted to do. Watching some of my heroes like Maynard Ferguson, listening to Beethoven, Chuck Mangione, Dizzy Gillespie, Miles Davis. Those were kind of my mentors and heroes, and I saw what they did, so I just kind of came natural to me.
Mm-hmm.
So,
but when I'm watching you up on that stage, so I'm the layman, right? I know everything about politics. I don't know anything about.
I'm a composer.
But when I watch you and you're moving your arms and they're playing based on your direction, right? When you move those arms, you're telling them what to do, up and down and higher and lower.
Yeah, it's a guide. It's to get the most out of the orchestra. They're playing the music. It's going to go down no matter what. But certain transitions and cues and dynamics and crescendos, decrescendos. Sudden stops and starts, you really have to be able to guide that and to really punctuate that as succinctly as you can.
You're like the football coach.
Pretty
They
much.
could play without the coach, but the difference between
yeah,
winning and losing
you know,
is the coach.
Some of my favorite coaches, it's like, or baseball. I look at it as baseball.
All right.
Tommy Lasorda is one of my favorite coaches.
Yeah.
So
Love Tommy.
I approach it.
Know
approach it
Tommy.
that way.
I know Tommy.
I approach it that way.
Yeah, cool. All right. So, and I'm an old Yankees fan, so we'll go with I don't know, Yogi Berra, Casey Stengel. I don't know which manager we want to go with, but Joe Torre, another great Yankee manager. But the players can play without the manager, but they certainly can't play as well, and they're not going to win the championship without the manager. So they're still incredibly talented, and all your musicians are incredibly talented.
Yeah.
But you're the guy who puts it all together. And just like baseball, I assume, what you see out there is the tip of the iceberg. It's the hours. Thousands of hours of practice.
That's a great point, because actually baseball, all sports and music go hand in hand, because you have to have an incredible amount of discipline. Without talent, you have nothing. I mean, without discipline, it doesn't matter how much talent you have.
Right.
So you've got to be able to harness that talent and execute, which requires thousands of hours of whatever you're doing on your craft.
And so many people in life don't make it, and they don't understand they're talented, but they don't have that discipline. Discipline is so important. I know a lot of people in your business, and I don't mean music, I mean all entertainment and arts. They get beat by drugs and alcohol because you're always around it. But I would assume a guy like you in particular knows to stay away from that stuff, because you got to be in charge up there. You can't ever take a chance.
When you're in a leadership role, you really can't do that stuff.
Right.
And you can't let your whatever's going on inside of you, you can't let that affect your outer.
Got to block it out.
So if I show any kind of, emotion,
weakness. How about the word weakness?
Well, any kind of weakness, or something that would really, make me upset. You can't do that.
Right.
Because it's always coming at you. There's always curveballs.
Right.
Oh, this person isn't there. Oh, they're running late. Or the sound isn't on. Or this. There's just like 20 things. You just have to roll with it and just keep batting.
I'm in the same business as you in a way, because
you're
it's the
constantly
same thing.
improvising.
You have to have a portion of your brain that has all the problems at home, all the problems of your marriage, all the problems of your kids, all the problems of your income. Everything's got to be set aside. You deal with it when the show's over.
Absolutely.
But during the show, it's blocked out, man. Blocked out.
Yeah, this is all that's happening right now.
Right.
That's it.
And I so appreciate that. I can't tell you how much I appreciate people who can do that. We're going to take a very quick break. When we come back, I want to grab you for a few more minutes to ask you just how your career happened and where it's going in the future, where you want to go,
sounds great.
where you want to go in the future.
Okay.
David Perico, how do people reach you, by the way? It's a good website.
It's www.davidpericomusic.com.
Perico is spelled P-E-R-R-I-C-O.
That's it.
P-E-R-R-I-C-O. DavidPerico.com. There you go, DavePerico.com. That's easy. Just like Wayne Allyn Root is, my email's wayneroot@gmail.com, and this show is worn out, and we'll be back in a jiffy. Stay tuned, because these sponsors you're about to hear, they're the reason you're listening for free to this show. They're the reason we're on the air. They're the reason you pay for nothing, is they pay the freight. You got to love these people. We'll be right back. War Now. All right, that's Kid Rock coming in, Born Free. Wayne Allyn Root, War Now. And speaking of Born Free, we've got a great entertainer with us now. You know Kid Rock, by the way? Have you ever met him?
I know who he is.
You haven't met him, huh?
I have not met him.
All right, I got to get you two together.
Let's hang.
All right. I'm sitting here, hanging here. We're actually standing here, because I don't sit. Most people at home don't have any idea. I stand my entire radio show. But I'm standing here with David Perico, trumpeter, conductor, award-winning composer, native of Youngstown, Ohio. But he's our Vegas composer and conductor. And his main gig at the moment is at Caesars. What nights are you on at Caesars?
Caesars Palace.
Caesars
Cleopatra's Barge. We're there Thursday, Friday, Saturdays, 10 to 12, free show, no cover, old school style.
No cover.
No cover. It's old school, like Louis Prima.
And is it David Perico and the Pop Strings Orchestra? That's the name.
it.
Pop Strings Orchestra.
It's 14 piece.
14 beautiful women, right? That's the deal, right?
There's 6 strings.
Okay.
We've got 2 singers, male, female.
Okay.
I've got 2 horns and 4 rhythm, piano, bass, drums, guitar.
So when I watched Toys for Tots, 2 singers came out, a male and a female. Those are your guys, or no?
Yeah. Well, there's a few. There's Lily Arcee. There's Cena Foley. There is Rocky Brown, and then there's Eric Shawn.
Okay.
Those are the
All right,
singers
cool.
that rotate.
So one thing that struck me, my thing in life is I'm a risk taker, man. I'm, from my gambling background to my entrepreneurial background, I take chances.
High risk, high reward.
And I assume your business is very similar.
The same thing. It's the same thing.
Tell me where you take
You
risks.
just got to take shots. I mean, if you want to do something that's, I don't want to say innovative, but different and new, and put a different spin on it, then you've got to be able to take risks and know that with those risks, there's 99 no's coming out of the 100.
Right.
So
Right. That was I've written 11 books.
from one
It's pretty cool. 11 books.
failure to the other is success. I guess.
My first book of 11 books, 1996.
Yeah.
The Joy of Failure. That you've got to fail
And it's not even
to
a
be
failure.
successful.
It's just another step.
Yeah.
Getting closer to
it's
what
a
you really
learning
wanna
step.
do.
You've got to learn.
Yeah.
You got to learn. But at the time, tell that to someone who's failed. It's miserable at the moment you're living in the failure. It's kind of miserable. But I'm a very enthusiastic guy, so I always pop back up.
Took
no
Thomas
big deal.
Edison 2,000 tries to make a light
There you go.
bulb. There you
See,
go.
I knew I liked you. You're my kind of guy.
All right.
So, going along with risk taking would probably be Sinatra's "Do It Your Way." Do it your way.
Absolutely.
Have you found it's easy to do it your way in this town? Because I know you're dealing with casino executives all the time who probably think it should be done their way. Have you been able to maintain your independence in
Yes,
this town?
there's certainly opinions of like how
Yeah.
or we should do things, but
But they leave you kind of autonomous to do your own thing for the most part?
I think the brand and it proves itself. The ensemble of what we have is very successful in the sense that we're playing to capacity crowds.
Yeah, I hear wild standing room only crowds. Yeah,
wherever we have the concert side of Pop Strings, which we perform at the Smith Center every 2 or 3 months. We're in residency there.
Oh, I didn't know that.
We're doing Puccini, we're doing Bach, we're doing original compositions, fully orchestrated. So more of the serious side, and then doing what we do at, let's say, the high energy club vibe,
which is Cleopatra's Barge at
so
Caesars.
it's a dance / show, and there's music from every genre, from the 70s, 80s, 90s, today.
Cool.
From Beyonce to Beethoven, is what I say.
And you were the one who came up with it. How did Pop Strings come up? You were the guy who invented the whole idea?
Yes.
And you said, let me surround myself with a full orchestra and let's have a whole section
Yeah.
of hot babes and how to play strings.
Of course.
Brilliant. Brilliant.
No, I mean,
Only a macho gal from Youngstown would understand something like that.
Yeah.
I get it,
So no,
High five me,
it's
I get it.
something that's really appealing. I mean, strings orchestras have been around since the 1700s, 1600s. So strings have always been the forefront of popular music. All I'm doing is just a different spin on popular music, what we're doing today. So making it accessible to kids, 21 to 81. So we're doing, like I say, anything from Beyonce to, Maroon 5.
Do you do more than one show a night when
And
you're
I-
at Caesars?
I do. I'm in the Rat Pack is Back show 6 nights a week as well.
Wow.
I do producing and
You're a hardworking
booking.
guy.
I
Hardest
say
working
that.
man in showbiz.
Telling you, man. No, so that's. I mean, you'll find a lot of musicians they do that. Like the girls, they'll come from the Celine Dion show. They play the show, and then they come over and play Pop Strings from 10 to 12.
Well, I was struck during Toys for Tots to hear you were conducting, and I know you're a composer, and then all of a sudden you stopped, picked up your own trumpet, and started playing, and you blew me away with the playing. You're a great
Thank you.
trumpeter. Great trumpeter.
Thank you very much.
Very talented guy.
And by the way, speaking of that, Danny Seraphin, who is the original drummer of Chicago, founding
Yes.
member, was featured on that show.
Yes, he was.
So he's a really good friend of mine now, and I'm really flattered that he wanted to come in, contribute, and played 4 Chicago songs.
Oh, he's in the Hall of Fame.
He's
He's
in the
just
Hall
been
of Fame.
elected to the Hall of Fame.
Amazing.
But, look, a charity is a really fun gig because everybody feels good doing something for kids. So people get high off that. Why do people seek out drugs and alcohol? They want to get high. Well, I get high off doing nice things for people. So charity is a way to not do drugs, not do alcohol, and get high. Yeah. It makes you feel alive, man. It makes you feel like a good person. We all know it comes back times 100. So it's really cool.
Sure.
So it's very cool that UNLJ take that on. UNLJ Harness take that on every year. I know. Yeah. Just it's an all-year thing.
And there are a lot of other people behind the scenes. His wife Tiffany Foote is behind
Tiffany,
the scenes.
yeah, Tiffany.
And the people at Cadillac, and of course, again, all from the stagehands to all the entertainers.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really a collective thing that's just awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome to be a part of.
Now, so we know where you are today, Caesars. Where do you want to be tomorrow? What's the goal? Where does this all lead to?
Well, I think right now I really need to record the band, and the band is still new. And to your question, what you were asking about, how did I come up with it? The band is only 2 years old. We debuted at Red Rock. We went to the Palms, and now we're at Caesars Palace. So now it's time to record the band.
I think you're in the right place, by the way.
It is. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Hats off to Caesars. But to travel with the band, maybe 3 or 4 months, 5 months out of the year, where we're going out and doing music festivals. Internationally or nationally. Love to go to Europe and just tour, because I think people, to see this band and to see what's going on, there's so much talent up there And I kind of laugh to myself every time we play. I'm just laughing because
You get paid to do this.
They are so
Pretty cool.
awesome, but it's just like to share the stage.
Yeah.
Like, like my guitar player, he plays with Donnie and Marie. The bass player's touring with Andrea Bocelli and Diana Ross.
See, I think you got something. I think you have something much bigger than you even know you have. I think that in Japan, in China, in Hong Kong, in Australia, in Germany, wherever you go, everybody loves Vegas. Mm-hmm. And everybody loves, obviously, great entertainers. And they would be very excited for you to mention, here's my band, here's the beautiful girls, here's this one plays with this one, and this one plays
with that. We do that every
one.
night. I acknowledge everybody.
But I'm saying that will sell in Japan and Asia and Australia. That will sell. They all love Vegas.
We're ready.
Fascinated by Vegas.
Ready. And the cachet of being branded with Caesars now.
Yes.
I mean, it's just really awesome for us.
All right, so the sky's the limit for David Perico, and that's why I had him come in, because I think I got you before you become a superstar. You'll be too big for war. Come on. All right, David, it's been so great getting to know you, and also to introduce you to my fans, who I hope will come out to Caesars. Give them the days and the nights again, and the times.
Caesars Palace, Pop Strings, 14-piece orchestra, 10 to 12, no cover at the Cleopatra's Barge.
On Thursdays and Saturdays and Sundays?
Saturdays.
Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Got it. Thursday, Friday, Saturday. David Perico, Pop Strings at Caesars. We got it, and we wish you only well. Your website is davidperico.com.
David Perico Music.
Music.com. David Perico, Perico music.com. David, put it here, buddy.
It's a pleasure.
My pleasure.
Thank you, Wayne.
Have a great time. Thank you for coming on the show. And when we get back, we'll be taking your call, 702-546-4790. We'll go from David Perico and entertainment in Vegas to hitting Meryl Streep really hard again. We'll go back to bashing and ranting on War Now. Be right back. All right, Wayne Allyn Root, War Now. We've got lots of calls on the line, which I love, as all of you know, and I don't like keeping you on too long. So let's grab some calls while we've got them. We've got Jaron on line one. Am I pronouncing that right, Jaron?
Jaron, yeah.
Hi, Jaron. How are you?
Good. How are you? I have to say, go Yankees. I'm a Yankees fan and love Joe Torre. So
another ex-New Yorker, I assume.
Not an ex-New Yorker. I'm from Colorado originally, and I just grew up loving the Yankees. So I've been to the original Yankee Stadium twice before they tore that down, and I was real upset about that. But anyway.
Well, it does happen. I'm a lifelong New Yorker, born and raised, who loves the Dallas Cowboys, and I've loved them since I was 5 years old. So I understand that you could be from Colorado and like the Yankees. I get it.
Yeah, it's all about loyalty. So anyway.
So what's on your mind today, Jaron?
I'm calling because my husband's self-employed, and I'm really upset about the healthcare mess right now. Because my husband is self-employed, we pay for individual insurance, and every year it keeps getting worse for us since Obamacare. It's been crazy. And I just wanted to call in and say that in order to keep our doctors to only accept PPOs, we have to pay through the nose this year about $1,000 a month to insure a family of 4 and have a PPO so that we can still see our doctors. If we don't go with a PPO, we can't see our doctors, and we'd have to be on an HMO plan, and you can get some subsidy tax credits if you go that route through the exchange. But the trade-off is that now in Southern Nevada, as of 2017, for people that have to pay for individual insurance, you can't get PPOs through the exchange. So if you want a PPO, you have to go off the exchange and pay through the nose for it, and you still have high deductibles, like anywhere from $3,500 to $4,500 as a deductible, still paying close to $1,000 a month to have a PPO. And there's only there's only 2 insurance companies this year offering a PPO in Southern Nevada, and so you have literally slim to no choices. And the most disturbing thing I found out from my broker today is he thinks that he could be wrong. He thinks for the next 3 to 4 years that there isn't going to be much change with this. Isaiah, sorry, my sons just woke up with the healthcare disaster, and I wanted to ask your thoughts on, if you think that Trump is going to be able to do anything to quickly repeal and replace Obamacare, because the disturbing thing I found out is that apparently all states are going to HMOs for individual health care. So if you are self-employed and you're an entrepreneur, but you don't employ people under you, my husband's a contractor. If you don't run a small business and you're just a contractor, you do your own thing, you won't even have the option anymore to get a PPO, whether you want to pay through the nose or not for insurance. Everyone's going to be forced to be HMO, and the only way you'll be able to get a PPO is through a traditional employer job. And so I feel like, middle class to upper middle class and entrepreneur type people are
screwed.
Are screwed. And I mean, who can afford to pay either two rent payments per month or 2 mortgage payments?
I agree. I agree, Jaron. Listen, I'm not your typical.
I'm so sorry.
Hey, Jaron, we're gonna let the children. They're up now. Let them play. Let them talk. I have 4 kids. I know. We're gonna cut you off. You can listen to my answer.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, that'd
cool.
be great. Okay, thank you so much for taking the call. Okay,
my pleasure.
Right,
thank you. I know Jaron has her hands full. I could tell that already. And I had 4 kids. I remember what that was like. And my youngest is still 8 years old, so I'm kind of still in that stage with a couple of them. But I remember when they were under the age of 5. Wow, that was a handful. So my answer, Jaron, is that, look, Trump is the cavalry riding to the rescue. And sometimes when the cavalry rides to the rescue, you got to hold off the enemy for another day before the cavalry gets there. And when they get there, there's still a lot of your friends dead. So Trump can't guarantee we're all going to make it. You know what I mean? It's possible Trump will ride to the rescue, but it'll take 2 years. And in the meantime, everybody's bankrupt. I don't know how quick we can right the ship and turn this nightmare of healthcare around. I don't know. I don't know the damage that Obama's done is quickly curable and turnaroundable. I don't know. Flippable, it's another name. Is it flippable? Is it malleable? Is it turnaroundable? Rescuable? I don't know. But we'll find out as quick as it can be done. We'll find out. Here's a guy who isn't president yet, and he's already saved thousands of jobs. And the new announcements come out every single day of companies announcing they're saving thousands of jobs or creating thousands of jobs because of President-elect Donald Trump. If anyone could do it fast, it's him. I don't know if we're capable of a nation of righting this ship fast, even with Trump as the captain of the ship. I don't know the answer to that. I do know that one of the sponsors of this show is Liberty Health Share. I'm not here to do an ad for them at the moment, although I do ads for them. I'm here to just give you choices and give you options. And I just left Aetna and signed up my entire family with Liberty Health Share. And you find them at libertyhealthshare.org. Go check it out and decide for yourself. That's the only advice I ever give. I'm not recommending. I'm not saying you should do it. I don't know your circumstances. But my insurance for a family of 4 kids was $1,900 a month. And I couldn't pay it anymore. I just could not afford to pay it anymore. With taxes highest they've ever been, college costs higher than they've ever been, grocery costs highest they've ever been. It's insanity. There's no money left for all of this. So I left it, and now it's $500 a month. I think it's $499 for Liberty Health Share. LibertyHealthShare.org. I would check it out. I think everyone should check it out. I can't say everyone should join it. I could say you should see what it's about and make a decision for yourself. But it's worth checking out. LibertyHealthShare.org, one of the sponsors of this show, and now my healthcare carrier. They're not an insurance company, but they are fantastic. And that's all I could say. I hope that was helpful, Jaron. We have more callers on the line, and we'll take them as soon as we get back from the news. Wayne Allyn, War Now. The war is ongoing, but the battle just begun, and we're going to hit hard. I'll see you in a sec. All right, we're back. Wayne Allyn, top of the 4 o'clock hour. So much going on today, so much to talk about, so much to rant about. But I'm not going to rant right now because we got callers on the line. I'm going to take some callers. We've got line 1, Tony. Tony, you're on with War. How are you?
Hey, how you doing, Wayne?
It's the Tony. Hey, Tony, how are you?
It's me. Okay, in a nutshell, when and if these Hollywood idiots are ever going to see the light, starting off spearheaded with Meryl Streep's idiotic comments, the Golden Globe, and 95% falling in line like lemmings in back of her. Is it because they're just pissed off that Hillary lost, or are they ever going to, come around? Because they're destroying the country. Unfortunately, a lot of people look to Hollywood for their news. They think what the actors say is the gospel truth, and that's a sad situation. That's for another day on our education system. But are they ever going to fall in line?
No, absolutely not. And I know them well. Being a producer of TV shows myself, several reality TV shows, and being an anchorman before that, and being Jewish and living in L.A. for 13 years. I understand a lot.
All the qualifications.
I do.
I was a producer, too. I don't know if you know that. But
I did not. What did you produce?
Yeah, I did work on John Lennon before Yoko pulled the plug and went to... if you remember Johnny Carson Productions back in the 80s.
Yeah.
She went off and did that horrible TV docudrama, if you will. Mm-hmm. But I had Stigwood, if you remember him, put up the money for a feature on Lennon, and she pulled the plug on it. So that was one of my... She was
always a troublemaker. Nobody likes that woman, Yoko. Nobody. I've yet to hear from a human being who ever liked Yoko Ono. Unbelievable.
Yep, that's true.
Troublemaker, man.
All the way back when she used to jump in a bag and she corralled him to, John to get on stage and do the bagism crap. If you remember that, you probably don't. But
I don't.
Yeah, that was her claim to fame, along with other so-called art pieces. That she did, but
well, back to your original question. I'm telling you, Hollywood believes, drinks their own Kool-Aid, and they believe their own BS, and they'll never change. They are the way they are. They're bleeding heart liberals. They're hypocrites. They're liars. They're frauds. They themselves, have never met a black person off camera. They themselves live in neighborhoods that are 100% white. They send their kids to lily white private schools. They ride around in limousines, and they fly in private jets. And they don't hang out with the riffraff of the world, whether they be
all the time decrying the green movement,
Right, saying that we need to be green while they're flying private jets, using up more fuel in an hour than I use up in a year. Exactly.
Yeah, somebody ought to do a documentary on that alone, and that'll slap a lot of these people into reality as to exactly what they're dealing with.
They've heard it all. I mean, how many times has Leo DiCaprio heard that his private jets around the world don't exactly equal environmental consciousness, but he doesn't care. He needs to fly private jets to impress his models that he's the greatest thing since sliced bread. These guys are all full of crap is what it comes down to.
Yeah.
And they just say whatever it is that will make women fall madly in love with them, which is usually liberal, pablum, politically correct bullspit. And so they are what they are. And they're always going to be the same. Meryl Streep isn't becoming a conservative tomorrow. You're not going to convince her. It's wasted breath to even try. All right, Tony.
Yeah, not even to become a conservative, but just to see what the reality is. I mean, Donald Trump's done more in the past 2 months than Obama has in 8 years.
Of course. They don't see it. They don't care.
It's incredible.
All they can talk about is what a racist he is. That's the only thing they care about. The fact that he creates jobs means nothing to him. So.
And there's a handful, but there are a handful like, Ted Nugent or Mark Farner, who you had on the other day, people like that who are going against the grain, that deserve, in my opinion, all the accolades they can get because they're all, to do a business deal, as you know, they're looking at, are you they may not say it, are you liberal, conservative, they can just sense it,
Yeah, no, listen, I lost my career in Hollywood over that. I mean, I was up for some of the biggest game shows in all of Hollywood, and as soon as the word got out that I was a conservative, that was the end of my career. I lost millions and millions of dollars for opening my mouth and being an outspoken, in-your-face conservative. Millions and millions of dollars. I hope to make it up on the back end with a conservative, nationally syndicated radio show. So I'm allowed to say whatever I want. It's my show, and the people listening love that I'm a conservative. So hopefully I can make it up on the back end. But I certainly gave up millions on the front end for being outspoken and sticking to my gut and my principles. So thank you, Tony. Let's take Patty on line 2. Patty, you're on with W.A.R. How are you?
Hi, Hi, thank you, Wayne. First, I have to thank you. Your show is so intelligent and articulate that I would rather you and those of us who call not go into this one is an idiot, this one is moronic, this one's an ass. Hit them where they live. Anyone can go on your computer, please do. The movie The Pianist, maybe 2008 Academy Award for the actor. Meryl Streep is a silly little hypocrite. She supported Roman Polanski's right to come back to the United States to receive accolades for his work. Now, the man is a child rapist who made a choice to flee rather than face the music. She is a woman, she is a mother, and she is supporting a child rapist. So rather than say she's an ass, she's a this, she's a that, she's a hypocrite on the highest level. If I had been in the audience last night, one of her peers, I would have been personally insulted that you receive one of the highest awards we, your peers, have to give to you, and you're using that time to not say thank you, I'm humbled. And third, and this is trivial, why are you so cheap? Take a $10,000 ad out of every paper, spend $20,000, and put, I am Meryl Streep, and this is how I feel. And I feel the same way Michael Moore. Hey, don't be so cheap, use your own money, take out an ad. So, and then when she complains, lastly, you've got callers about Donald Trump and Twitter. Well, if the social media, the way we know it, had existed in ultra-liberal Franklin Roosevelt's time, he would have been using that instead of the radio. We're worried about Jared Kushner, Bobby Kennedy, his brother, our dear President John Kennedy. Why don't we all, if we can, write a $5 check today to a worthy charity we've checked out? Why don't we pay attention to our veterans, Veterans Resource Transition Center, Nevada Veterans Council? Look them up on the internet. They are all legitimate. And just laugh ourselves silly and say, you know what, Meryl, this is not in your honor. This is because we have honor. So thank you for what you do, Wayne.
Thank you, Patty. It'll be in the honor of President Donald Trump, President-elect Donald Trump. And by the way, all the other presidents, stared into the camera and said, I got a pen and I'm going to veto. Donald Trump has Twitter. That's his pen. That's his veto pen. He goes straight to the American people. There isn't anything wrong with Twitter. I think it's great. Let's go with Moishe on line 3. Moishe, you're on with W.A.R.
Yeah, I really love the strong woman voices you're attracting on this radio, on your show, Wayne.
Thank you,
and congratulations and good luck to the syndication. So many places to go. My dad was born in Youngstown. I was born in Youngstown, grew up in Akron. That's Yo Town. By the way, even people here in Vegas told me a couple times, you used to hear stories, there were a lot of car bombs, and it was known as a mob town somehow between Chicago and New York. The DeBartolo family, of course, Eddie DeBartolo was from there. He was in the mall business, and it's Yo Town. It was the scene of my greatest sports achievement for Achim Azieh, that's B'nai B'rith Anti-Defamation League to promote tolerance in America, won the Maccabi, the Ohio Championship in Youngstown Jewish Center in 1974. Harry Otinsky averaged 19 points a game for Youngstown Ray, and we held and we hung on. And everything's connected, because it's a sad day in America when you have to listen to Fox News and hear that six different states bomb threats were called into Jewish centers. I don't know if you hear that, but
I did not hear that. When, today?
Okay.
Today?
Today. It's the first time in America, Wayne, and it's it's Florida, 3 cities. I think Delaware, Maryland, California. It's been on Fox News for 3 hours.
And don't forget that, over the weekend, we tend to forget news moves so fast that if it happens on Saturday, I'm not talking about it on Monday because there's so much new news this morning. And so I didn't even mention, Moishe, that those Israeli soldiers were killed by that
Three
Muslim.
were female. Three were female.
I
by
didn't
the
even
way.
know that. I did not know that.
Three were female,
How
and of
terrible.
course everything's connected, Wayne. Do you know how great Jerusalem is for the whole world of all the religions compared to what it was before 1967 when they made a urinal of our own Western Wall? Does anybody understand what, even for the Arabs in East Jerusalem, business is up 89 trillion thousand percent since 1967? Unbelievable. Of course, it would be up a lot more without their terrorist attacks. And, you know, it's vile, this Loretta Lynch and everybody else saying the Muslim attacks, they were all made up. Where is the safest place in the world, basically, for Muslims to live other than Israel, by the way, in case they're not terrorists?
Well, the United States or Israel,
the
right?
United States of
Yeah.
America,
Yeah.
Wayne. And I had, of course, many Muslim girls, and many of them wonderful, and getting an education in America in my classes in New York City. And but it's unbelievable, the vileness of this president. I have so many other things to say. I'm just going to mention something. I've never watched this Fareed Zakaria very much. I guess he's supposed to be an intellectual. I'm astounded at the low level, even just the wrong opinions. He couldn't pass my ninth grade world history test. I was watching CNN, and he has this wild theory, Wayne. I guess somebody wrote an article about it, that somehow Vladimir Putin, not a nice guy, by the way, we'll talk about him later, that he was worried about becoming president in 2008 and 2009, and he was worried about the Arab Spring, and they showed Hillary with her blonde hair, that she was the champion of freedom, and somehow this is why there is no Arab Spring. It was conducted by Obama for the Muslim Brotherhood. 28 lies. It's all, what do they call it, Wayne, when they just establish a theory? Like they come out and say, well, Trump's a racist, this and that. It's a complete lie.
It's a scam.
What do they, there's a word for it. When it's like when you let the other person go with their argument and they accept the premises. But I just like the police shootings, this is, in Israel's going to face so much because of what this guy did. It's unbelievable. You know, I'm just going to stop for there because everything is connected.
All right, Moishe. We're on the run. We've got thank you, man. Appreciate it. Patriot, big fan of Israel, big fan of America. Moishe, regular caller. It's our show. Moishe is. Thank you. Wayne Allyn, War Now. We get back. We'll have an interview and then calls. We'll have an interview about Obamacare and then calls. 702 546 4790. If you're in California, toll free 844-263-8232. And yes, I was born in the USA. All right, Wayne Allyn, War Now, back again. A little bit of a hoarse voice, but it is me. It is War, 790 Talk Now, 98.1 FM in Palm Springs, 790 here in Vegas, Sin City. And we've got Abby on line too. Abby, you're on with War. How are you?
Well, I'm okay. I just wanted to say that, you know how you were saying that the guy and no one is going to get through the actresses and actors' minds?
Yes.
Because they don't want to hear it?
Right.
Well, they all have really good jobs, as we all know. They make a whole lot of money, and it's so obvious how selfish they are that they don't care about the rest of us who need work.
Right.
And are so happy that big business is coming in, and he's keeping big business here. But the other thing is, you've often said about how you're going to try to get the Jewish population to change their, open up their eyes.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think you have about as much luck as Moshe or whoever it was.
Moishe.
Yeah, talking about the actors and actresses, most of whom are Jewish, because just like during the Holocaust and before the Holocaust, they just didn't get it. They had people coming, escaping the camps and warning their townspeople, getting back to their towns, their shtetls, telling them what was going on, and they called them crazy, and they didn't believe it. Well, here we are again. And Trump it's like people don't actually have stopped talking to me. Or literally one the other night ran away from me because of a pro-Trump, or actually a pro-Israel thing that I put in to Facebook.
Abby, are you Jewish?
What? I am.
And you were talking to a fellow Jew who is a liberal Jew? This person ran away from you?
I can't get through. I can't get through to my own family.
Yeah.
I can't, and someone said, one of my relatives said to me about Obama, you were right. And yet, who did he vote for?
Hillary.
Yeah,
It's true, but I'll tell you what. It's changing a little bit. I must tell you, when I meet Jewish men who own their own business, 60% conservative. When I meet Jewish women who teach for a living, say at a university, 100% liberal. So men are opening up a little bit, especially the ones who own their own business. Men who make good incomes, over 100,000 a year, 50-50, starting to be more Republican, but overall problematic. And I'm trying to change it. We'll see. We'll see.
That's why I say I wish you luck, because they won't even listen. I said to someone the other day how Trump paid for, I don't know if you know this, how he paid for when Bush made and when Netanyahu made the Jews leave Gaza back in 2005. They didn't have the money to relocate. There was no money in Israel to relocate 5,000 people. So who sent the money? Millions of dollars? Trump. He relocated it. He paid for their communities. He paid for them to move and everything. And I said that to a fellow MOT, and he looked at me like, "What did you just say? Are you speaking Russian?"
Yeah, I know. They don't want to accept their heads are buried in the sand. They don't want to accept that Donald Trump is wonderful to the Jewish people and the Israeli people.
I know.
Wonderful.
And his whole family, except him, are Jews.
All right.
And his daughter is engaged to one. It's just youngest. It's just insane.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can get through. I hope you can broadcast it on the radio as to how you do it.
All right, Abby. Thank you. Appreciate the call, fellow Jewish conservative, good woman. And I'm going to take a quick ad break. When we get back, we got Dale Bellis here, who is the executive director of Liberty Health Share, and we'll be talking about Obamacare and Obama's top health official warning of the dangers of health care or Obamacare repeal. Americans are split over Obama's ability to fix health care, and we've got Dale Bellis of Liberty Health Share, a Christian health sharing organization, to weigh in on all of it when we return to War Now. All right, Wayne Allyn, we've got our guest, and his name is Dale, and he is the executive director, Dale Bellis, of Liberty Health Share. And Liberty Health Share is one of the sponsors of this show. And Dale is our Obamacare expert and our healthcare expert and our expert for what do you do if you don't want Obamacare or health insurance anymore. He's got the alternative. And we talked to him about all the things going on in healthcare. And boy, is he in the Johnny on the spot, right place, right time, because Donald Trump's entire first year is very likely going to be about Obamacare and what the choices are out there. So Dale Bellis, welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you, Wayne. It is always a pleasure to be with you.
So Obama's top health official warns of the dangers of health care law repeal. Health and Human Services Secretary Sylvia Matthews Burwell warned Monday of widespread damage to the nation's healthcare system if the Republican-led Congress and the incoming Trump administration repeal the Affordable Care Act before they define a sequel. What are your thoughts on this whole thing? Can you repeal it without an instant replacement?
My thought is, first of all, that it is certainly prospective for the Congress to issue a piece of legislation that says upon the emplacement of enacting legislation, consider Obamacare repealed. And then the amount of time it takes for them to put a replacement in place, at least up front, in everyone's mind, there is legislation that says it is hereby repealed upon the emplacement or enactment of replacement legislation. I think that would be a wise and judicious use of the power that they currently have and the goodwill of the American public. No, it's not necessary to do one right following the other. That's number one. But number two, Burwell particularly, I think, highlights the deeper question that has to be asked. And, Wayne, it's this. The discussion or the conversation we need to have as a nation is how deeply engaged or involved do we want the federal government to be involved in the management and control of our health care? That's really the question. The ACA is a top-down, centralized, planned arrangement of regulation for the buying and selling of health insurance. It's incredibly intrusive and oppressive. With the repeal of Obamacare, we have the opportunity, frankly, of saying to our friends in Congress and the incoming administration, we really want simply the ability or the power to make our own choices. Don't impose another structure regarding health care on us. Let us really take advantage of the free market options and choices that are available to us. I think that's really the debate to be had.
Well, when you think about education, and we're talking to Dale Bellis, Executive Director, Liberty Health Share, and when you think of education, there's always going to be a public school system. I have no doubt about that. You're never going to be able to get rid of it, no matter how bad it is, no matter what terrible results or poor, low-quality results it produces. There's always going to be public education, I'm sad to say. Whereas many of us choose private school, home tutoring, Catholic school, Christian school, Jewish school, most charter school. Most people are stuck in a failing public school, and they'll just be there forever. I think healthcare is probably going to wind up being that way. There's always going to be some sort of a government control of parts of healthcare. I just want you to free me to go do my own thing. That's basically what Liberty Health Share is, right? You can keep the old system or some part of it in place, but as long as you give me the freedom to choose a Christian health sharing organization, I can gain the benefits without worrying about the old program that's failing.
So long as there is that choice and option, you're absolutely right. If there is, and it appears to be, about half of our population who want to keep the Affordable Care Act, the other half want to repeal it. And so for those who feel the need of dependency for others to be making their choices and decisions for them, then your idea is absolutely spot on. Just simply give an option and an opportunity for choice. There couldn't be anything better if we just simply had multiple options, a menu of opportunities for America to decide regarding the direction of their health care.
There has to be some way to design a really cool answer where half the country wants it and they can have it, and they should pay for it, And the rest of us should have nothing to do with it. Let them pay for it if they want it so much, if they want it so badly. And you know what the problem is, Dale? All the people that want it so badly are the half of America who don't have 2 cents to their name, that want everything free and can't pay for a thing. There's the problem. That's it right there in a nutshell.
That's it for sure, and we as a nation have to come to grips with the fact that we have created the environment for the dependent class, and it extends to the arena of healthcare. If there are those who wish to be dependent on those sorts of programs, I couldn't agree more. Just simply pass on the cost to them. I simply want the freedom and opportunity to enroll in programs that enhance freedom, such as Liberty Health Share.
You know what's funny is my biggest argument from the beginning, Dale, we're talking to Dale Bellis, Executive Director, Liberty Health Share, one of the sponsors of this program, but someone I turn to as a healthcare expert and someone who can explain the alternatives out there. And by the way, I just joined Liberty Health Share starting January 1st. This is our first conversation on this show, Dale, where I'm a member of your organization. I put my family on it 100%. Fired Aetna, as Donald Trump would say. I said, you're fired. And I joined Liberty Health Share. So I'm the guy who could talk about it with you, who actually is living it as part of the organization. So that's really cool, too. And my big problem with Obama was the very first thing he decided to do as president was Obamacare, when there were more pressing matters such as the economy and jobs. And sure enough, new poll is out. Americans are split over Trump's ability to fix health care. Here's one of the key things in this article I found interesting. Overall, health care comes in third among the top issues the public wants Trump's administration to address. The economy and jobs rank first and immigration second, healthcare third. So Obama made the mistake of not dealing with jobs and the economy, and the people don't want Trump to make that same mistake. But where they're mistaken is that Obamacare is crushing the economy and middle-class jobs.
That is really the underlying impact, the unintended consequence of such an intrusive healthcare regime, is that it depresses and impacts the entire economy. Because 1/5 of all the dollars we spend are on healthcare. And so it depresses jobs. It steals the opportunity of America to have more income and opportunity for jobs and employment. So it is absolutely fundamental to releasing the economic power of America to just simply give those additional options and opportunities for freedom-loving Americans to engage in about the care of their health.
Well, if people want a option, you can give them an option with Liberty Health Share. I just explained to you that my family and I joined, and the reason why wasn't just that over these last few months I've gotten to know the people at Liberty Health Share, gotten to really like them, and realized that I needed this option as much as anyone in my audience. It was that Aetna, who's been my healthcare provider for so many years, went from $500 to $1,700 a month under Barack Obama because of the joys of Obamacare. And now they informed me it was going to $1,900 and change per month. And I said, enough is enough. It's time to go to Liberty Health Share. And what a dramatic reduction in cost. And now healthcare is up to me. It's in my hands. I choose what I want. I choose what I spend. And I can't tell you how happy I am. Tell people out there, Dale, how they can contact Liberty Health Share to find out more about it and explore it for themselves and their families.
LibertyHealthShare.org is the best place to go. LibertyHealthShare.org. There's a phone number there they can dial, talk to one of our trusted advisors in our contact center, ask for a free information packet. We call it a decision guide. It can be sent directly to their email or to their mailbox if they prefer, or peruse the pages of the website. Liberty Health Share is really premised on two key principles, as you identify with so well, Wayne. One is personal responsibility for the care of our health and sharing those costs in community with one another with like-minded people in America. That's really the power that makes it so effective. LibertyHealthShare.org.
And the phone number is 855-585-4237, 855 toll-free. 585-4237, libertyhealthshare.org. Dale Bellis is their national executive director. Dale, thank you for coming on, War Now.
Wayne, it's always a pleasure. God bless. Thank you.
God bless you. Happy New Year, buddy. All right, Wayne Allyn, War Now. When we return, it's all calls, 702-546-4790. Let me know what's on your mind. 702-546-4790, or in Palm Springs, 844-263-8232. All right, Wayne Allyn, War Now. Hey, by the way, I'll ask you on the air, when you play Best of War on weekends, which is now 3 to 6, same as Monday through Friday, right? So we're now 7 days a week, Monday through Friday, live Monday through Friday, but taped on Saturday and Sunday with a best of. Is it the same best of show on Saturday as Sunday, or is it two different shows? Same best of repeats on Sunday after you air it on Saturday. Got it. Okay. All right. So you can hear us 7 days a week. And those of you who are driving in your car on a weekend, you could tune in same 3 to 6 hour and hear Best of War. You just can't call in. We've got lots of callers on the line. We've got Joel on line too. Joel, you're on with War.
Mr. Root, Happy New Year, sir.
Happy New Year. How are you?
You know, I'm a little disturbed, actually.
Go ahead. What are you disturbed about?
My wife and I, we were watching one of the ABC TV news channels last night, Alphabet, whatever, and a segment popped up, and I'm actually on Fox News right now looking it up too, but it's called neonatal abstinence syndrome, and the segment last night was on infants born addicted to opiates, and the mothers who got pregnant were already using heroin or, pills, Oxycontin, whatever, when they found out they were pregnant, and whether or not they, tried to get help or rehabilitate once they found out, they didn't tell you in the segment, but they showed images, videos of these infants shaking their legs uncontrollably, seizures, tremors. They have feeding difficulties, breathing challenges. Here's a statistic from Fox News right now. The rate of neonatal abstinence syndrome climbed from 5 cases for every 1,000 births in 2008 to 21.2 cases per 1,000 births in 2014. And that's from JAMA Pediatrics.
Does this really surprise you, Joel? I mean, we live in a society where Donald Trump will tell you he was most shocked by his visit to New Hampshire, how many drug addicts there are in New Hampshire on methamphetamines and all kinds of white trash drugs, as they call them. You know, this isn't a black issue anymore. It's not a minority issue. Everybody's on drugs. We're a nation of drug addicts. So it doesn't surprise me. It's disgusting, but it doesn't surprise me. I can't think of anything more disgusting. You know I'm opinionated, and I always say whatever's on my mind. Nothing in life is more disgusting than a pregnant woman knowing she has a baby inside of her doing drugs. That's beyond being a prostitute. That's beyond being a crack whore, as they call them. Can you imagine doing that to a baby? What a low-life piece of human garbage you've got to be to use drugs while you have a baby.
Absolutely. And they looked at these mothers like the victims in the segment.
Yeah,
they still had their babies. Their babies are recovering drug addicts, and these mothers are allowed to seemingly remain in custody of their children, while you have all of these other states that either have recreational or medical marijuana laws. And people who are using these flowers to treat seizures, I don't know if you've heard of Charlotte's Web, but it's a high CBD, which is a type of cannabinoid, THC variant, that treats seizures in children. So people are losing custody of their children who are trying to help them, or maybe they're against alcohol and drugs and it's legal in their state, or it's medically or recreationally. How do you feel about that, where you know that law-abiding citizens are losing their children while drug addicts and just lowlives are getting to keep them? How does that, how do we stop that?
It's crazy. It doesn't make any sense at all. But it's one of the things I rant about, the Root Rant, I rant about it all the time, is that society is backwards. A is Z and Z is B and upside down is right side up and the world is flat. I mean, doesn't it seem like we're out of control and life is going in the wrong direction? It sure does. But I think electing Trump was a definite strong step in the right direction to get it right. But man, are we in a drug epidemic in this country? And nobody knows less about it than me because I've never done a drug in my entire life, ever. I don't do drugs. Drugs are something foreign to me, and I've never been drunk in my whole life. I don't drink. So I don't understand why people have this need to hurt their bodies. It doesn't make sense to me. But I have no understanding of why a woman who's pregnant would ever put a drug in her body. It's beyond me.
Education or lack of education. I mean, we went natural. We did the Bradley method with both of our babies. My wife gave birth, no drugs. Our second one we had at home in the water. I delivered my son with supervision of doulas and midwives. But at the hospital, it was a battle. They were trying to inject us, make us, I know. It's terrible. And then it's legal to prescribe pregnant mothers opiates and all kinds of drugs. And it's fine. Hey, what is inside of the epidural? Everything that it's drugs that are similar to cocaine, and the placenta is not a filter; it's a sieve. Everything that the mother takes goes directly to the baby. How is that allowed? How are mothers who use medical marijuana being stripped of their children when there's mothers who are using opiates?
I don't know, but I wonder if anyone's done any tests on whether medical marijuana or marijuana, does that affect a pregnant woman and the fetus in a bad way?
I Googled that, and synonymously with I Googled babies addicted or born addicted to, and then Google filled in the rest for me, and weed, quote unquote, was one of those things. I clicked on it. I have Yahoo Answers questions. People, there's no definitive answers. How many people have you heard of dying from overdoses of marijuana or going home and shooting their entire family because they smoked too much pot.
No, they don't.
Exist.
No, I understand. I agree.
Yeah.
Look, pot is not a horrible drug, but I am not the world's biggest fan of pot. I believe in freedom. I think people should be allowed to do what they want to do as long as it doesn't hurt or affect others. Mothers who are pregnant are hurting and affecting others by doing drugs. So that's a whole different story.
And
but
it's legal. It's legal to use prescription drugs from a doctor because, doctors aren't running businesses. They're not trying to make money. How much extra money does an epidural cost? About $2,500. You think they don't want to do that while a mother's giving birth?
Of course they do.
Let's get a bonus. And, and doctors like to perform C-sections. C-sections are so unnecessary. The mortality rate in America is appalling. Afghanistan has a better mortality rate than America. It's ridiculous.
Frightening. All right, thank you, Joel. Thank you for the call. Appreciate the views. We've got Deplorable Gary on line 3. Gary, you're on with W.A.R. How are you?
At your service, it's GG himself. Listen, I don't know. I'm not really qualified to weigh in on this health care, but I have a lot to say about it anyway. It's extremely complicated because this country is like no other. There are so many people here, but it's being abused. That is the bottom line to me, to you. I have Medicare and Medicaid. I don't even use it. I don't go to doctors. I mean, I had bypass surgery thanks to hard-working people, and they paid for my bypass surgery in 1998. And I hear that drinking a couple of beers a day will reduce your risk of heart attacks and strokes, so I try to do that. Lately, I'm trying to keep that down. I'm getting overboard. But people are abusing the healthcare stuff. They are going to doctors. I mean, there are people legitimately that need to go to doctors and bring their children to doctors, but all these other people, they are causing the cost to go up because they want to get their medicines, their painkillers, and they want to sell them on the street. That's what goes on. They want to get qualified for Medicaid. They're disabled. There's something wrong with them. They want this. They want someone to talk to, older people, younger people. They just want someone to talk to, a doctor or a psychiatrist. I'm supposed to be seeing psychiatrists and doctors. I don't take the heart medicine. I don't take it since since 2003. I cut out all the heart medicine. I take an aspirin a day. That's all I do. And they told me, don't cut this medicine off. I'm still well kicking. You can't even get rid of me. I'm healthy as hell. I walk for miles. It's being abused. And the Trial Lawyers Association, they give all kinds of money to the Democrats, and there's a lot of scandal and all around. I don't know if Donald Trump can untangle all the stuff. It's so complicated. I think we should send a message in outer space. Please help. We need health care intelligence or anybody out there. We might get an answer for this one. I'm telling you, you're doing a good job, but this is complicated, and I don't know Donald Trump. I hope he can do something.
All right, Deplorable Gary. Thank you. Appreciate the call. And by the way, I would recommend to Donald that right at the top of my list of how you solve healthcare problems in America is you get the lawyers out of it. You've got to fight lawsuit abuse. We've got Jaron who called earlier who wanted to add a very quick comment. Jaron, we have about 1 minute, so tell us what you want to add to the healthcare conversation.
Sure. Thank you. I'm sorry. I have 2 under 5. So, but real quick, I want to say for the other 50% out there that are pro Obamacare, if that's even accurate, I wanted to say it's not just about the cost skyrocketing along with the deductibles and it hurting the middle class. It's also about control. They want everyone eventually to be on HMOs, whether you're employed or you're an individual paying for health insurance, because it's about controlling our health and making decisions for you. Because I know people that needed surgeries or operations, and the HMO or Medicare or Medicaid approved it, and then they pulled their approval right before the surgery and created all kinds of nightmares. Same thing with cancer patients. An office manager at a cancer doctor's office recently told me that they get all kinds of Medicare and Medicaid patients who have had tumors, that they were just told to watch and wait and see what happens because they don't want to pay for the care, and people don't get this. It's like you may be getting it for a low price, or for essentially nothing with the subsidy tax credits if you agree to their HMO Nazi plans. But when you don't have a PPO and you don't get to choose your doctors and you don't have a choice, you just wait and see what happens when your child or someone in your family has some medical issues. And I'm sorry, it's not pretty. And people do not understand the government, bottom line, does not care about whether you live or die. They don't care about your family's health. And
All right,
so this
Jaron.
issue is way bigger than cost. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Okay.
Jaron. Thanks for being quick. You know the music was playing, which means we have the news coming up, but it was a very insightful comment you made. She's a bright lady, and I agree with her 100%. The only way it ever go is PPO. HMO doesn't work. Wayne Alaroot, war now. Wayne Alaroot, war now. Wayne Alaroot. All right, Wayne Alaroot, war, back in the house. Normally, I stand to do the show. I'm exhausted. I'm sitting right now. First time in a long time I remember actually sitting as I do the show because I'm exhausted. I was fighting a cold all last week, and now I'm fighting a hoarse voice and a long day since 5 in the morning at work. But here I am for you because I love doing the show, and when I'm away, I got to tell you, tomorrow Megan will be in as guest host for the day. I'll be in Los Angeles on business just for one day. Be back tomorrow night. And I'll be back in the saddle again on Wednesday. I miss doing the show even one day, even if I have to get up at 5 in the morning to get my work done so I can get the show. And that's how much I enjoy spending my time with all of you. I hope you enjoy spending your time just as much with me. My email, by the way, WayneRoot@gmail.com. WayneRoot@gmail.com. My website, root4america.com. And you could register for free there to get all of my opinions, all of my commentaries, and all of my videos. Some of the things in the news today, my root rant. Number one is that it's been reported that Iran is getting a natural uranium batch. Iran is to receive a huge shipment of natural uranium from Russia to compensate it for exporting tons of reactor coolant, diplomats say, in a move approved by the outgoing Obama administration and other governments seeking to keep Tehran committed to their nuclear pact. That makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? Let's ship them uranium so they can stick to their pact and not bomb us. What do you need to bomb us? Uranium. Oh, my God, these people are stupid. Thank God Donald Trump is here because we need common sense so badly, and the people who run these countries are so stupid or not stupid. You know, I don't think Obama's stupid or naive or ignorant. I think Obama knows exactly what he's doing when he arms Iran, when he agrees to a huge shipment of natural uranium. It's kind of like years ago on Monday Night Football, Dennis Miller was the host, one of the hosts of Monday Night Football. Remember that? That was a one-year experiment. Didn't last very long. And the other announcer said, so-and-so is out with a minor groin injury. And Dennis Miller said, there's no such thing as a minor groin injury. That's how I feel about uranium. There's no such thing as just a shipment of uranium is what they use to build bombs that kill people like Hiroshima and Nagasaki by the hundreds of thousands at a time. So putting it in the hands of Iranian madmen who believe Islam is the answer and Muhammad has all the answers and the only answers is not exactly a great idea, in my opinion. Wow. Obama is just not a good person. That's all I could say. The UN's International Atomic Energy Agency said Tehran has not said what it would do with the uranium, but could choose to store it or turn it into low-enriched uranium and then export it for use as reactor fuel. What about the option of using it to build a nuclear bomb and kill lots of people like Israel? How about that option? They didn't mention that. Toyota is set to invest $10 billion in America. Jack Ma of Alibaba meets Trump to discuss the creation of 1 million U.S. jobs. Fiat to invest $1 billion in Michigan and Ohio plants and create 2,000 jobs. Ford scuttles their Mexican plant and invests in Michigan. I mean, I got to tell you, could the news get any better for jobs and the middle class and the economy and capitalism? Where there are many questions about the sincerity, not to mention viability of his company, moments ago, Alibaba's Jack Ma appeared at Trump Tower for a meeting with Donald Trump, where, according to CNBC, he will discuss plans to create 1 million new U.S. jobs over the next 5 years. The meeting will focus on Chinese e-commerce expansion plans. It's unclear why Beijing would be okay with Ma creating 1 million jobs in the U.S. and not China. Well, I'll tell you what, because Donald Trump's involved. That's why. Look at SoftBank's CEO, Masayoshi Son, assured Trump he would create 50,000 jobs in the U.S. and spend a couple of $1 billion to do it. And in separate news, following last week's Trump tweeted barb aimed at Toyota, the Japanese car giant said it plans to invest $10 billion in the U.S. over the next 5 years to create jobs. What do liberals say? What do liberals say to all of this? Do they not understand that there was no good news in 8 years of Obama? And all this good news is happening not in the first 5 minutes of Trump, but even before he takes office? What do liberals say? I don't get it. Aren't they embarrassed? Aren't they mea culping? Aren't they saying, oh my gosh, we were wrong about Donald Trump? And instead they go on the Golden Globes and they rant against the racist as he creates jobs and as he gets companies to agree by twisting their arms, no doubt, to invest billions of dollars in America. This guy is great. And by the way, what he's doing is completely legal and completely right, completely moral. If you say to a company, I'm the new president of the United States, and I'm going to pass laws that make it so easy to do business in America, I will take care of you and create the perfect business environment. I'll tell the IRS to stop auditing every damn company in the world and mind its own business. I will lower taxes dramatically. I will lower the taxes on money you make outside the United States so you can bring it back. I will dramatically cut regulations. There won't be any new regulations. I will kill Obamacare. I'll kill all the EPA climate change killing rules, job killing rules. I'll make it fun to do business in America again. America is now open for business again. I'll do all that for you if you just spend a little money and bring some jobs back to America. And they're saying yes. He's twisting their arm nicely, and they're saying yes. There isn't anything wrong with that. I'm sure there's a little bit of a carrot and a little bit of a stick. You know, either that or I'll just make sure that you are audited. I'll make sure that regulations aren't cut so dramatically. I'll make sure taxes aren't cut so dramatically. But if I do this for you, if I scratch your back, you better scratch mine. That's how business is done all over the world, and that's how it's being done under Donald Trump. And Obama could have done that at any time, but he never did. FCA, the arm of U.S. Of automaker Fiat Chrysler, announced Sunday it would invest a total of $1 billion in plants in Michigan and Ohio, which will add 2,000 new jobs in the United States. The announcement in what the company said was the second phase of a plan came days after Ford decided to scrap a plan to build a facility in Mexico, opting to invest in a plant in Chicago. And let's not forget, Ford CEO cited demand and the policies of President-elect Donald Trump. Amazing. Just amazing. I never thought I'd live to see politicians admit the policies of a specific politician would cause them to invest billions and create new jobs in an American plant. That's how cool Donald Trump is. All right, we'll take an ad break. When we get back, we've got an interview waiting, and then it'll be calls the last half hour of the show. We've got a nationally recognized political analyst on to talk about Obamacare, where we go next. His name is Dan Perkins. My name is Wayne Allyn, War Now. This battle has just begun. All right, Wayne Allyn, War Now, little Guns N' Roses. By the way, a lot of our listeners say, why do you play these groups that are all a bunch of liberals? Because it's good music, and I like it. By the way, get me more of, why am I drawing a blank? Get me more of my favorite New Jersey group. Not Bruce Springsteen, but Bon Jovi. None of them are conservatives. None of these rockers are conservatives. But who cares? Number one, if I played only music of conservatives, it'd be like Lawrence Welk. There'd be nothing left. I'd be playing Lawrence Welk intros and outros. Number one. And number two, as Jameson, my wonderful engineer and board op and producer often says, if they knew we were playing them, they'd be even angrier. They would hate it. Bon Jovi would hate it. Bruce Springsteen would hate knowing that Wayne Allyn Root is playing their music to help promote Donald Trump. Hate it. They, in a way, helped elect Donald Trump president on our show. So, hey, let's play more of the liberals' music. Screw them. All right, so on the show today, we've got Dan Perkins, nationally recognized political analyst, contributor to Daily Caller, Clash Daily, Daily Surge, and The Hill. And he's here today to talk, I believe, about Obamacare and how we're going to repeal it and replace it. Dan Perkins, you're on with W.A.R. Wayne Allyn Root, how are you?
I'm fine, and yourself? Wayne, always good to be with you.
Today's topic is, in fact, Obamacare, yeah?
Yes.
And can it be
dead or alive?
Can it be quickly repealed and replaced, or is this going to be a 2-3 year job?
Well, I don't. Wayne, I think it can be. Yes, I think it can be repealed quickly. I mean, literally in a matter of days. Number two, can it be replaced? It's interesting because when you think about what's been said, that the Republicans do not have a plan to replace it, that's not true. I mean, we've talked about medical savings accounts. We've talked about interstate marketing and sales of a product to allow a more efficient and a better pricing and a better pool for the insurance companies. So there are things that are there. I think that the biggest hurdle is going to be the pre-existing condition, and we might have to have the government subsidize that piece for a small percentage of people. I mean, when you speak about subsidies, Wayne, the last number I saw is that 83% of the people who have purchased Obamacare on the exchanges are subsidized by the federal government.
Of course. They all went into Medicare. All this was an expansion of Medicare. Or Medicaid, excuse me. Medicaid. That's all this was. Or something like 94% of the people who claim now, I wasn't insured, now I am. Thank you, Obama. Thank you, Obamacare. All they did was go on welfare. They're on Medicaid. That's it. That's what he achieved. Big deal.
Right. So I think that's the only. I think you could take the catastrophic illness to a Medicaid issue because catastrophic illness for most people would be financially devastating anyway. So, but I think there are a lot of things that can happen very quickly. I don't think it's going to take 3 years. The only way that it might take 3 years if the Democrats snipe at it all the way through. And I really believe that the Democrats have played for years, have played a game that they tried to play this time. I'm hopeful, but not overly hopeful, that this time the game isn't going to work. And if you, I don't know how old you are, but I'm almost 72. And I go back to politics as early as Dwight Eisenhower. And what's happened over the years is that the Democratic Party, whether they're in power or not, acts like they are in power. So they use intimidation tactics. You know, just to give you an example, when Romney was running for president in 2012.
12, yeah.
Harry Reid said from the floor of the Senate, quote, "I've been told by a friend that Mitt Romney's never paid any taxes." And when challenged by the news media, he simply said, "Well, I don't know, go ask him." So immediately by what he said on the floor of the Senate, he basically raised the issue of Trump's tax liability Mitt's tax liability and put him on the defensive. And he never really recovered from that. It was like the question, when's the last time you beat your wife? Well, I answer, I don't beat my wife.
Really?
Did
Prove
you ever
it.
beat your wife?
Mm-hmm.
So what happened on the floor of the Senate a week ago, Friday, or last Friday, I think it was last Friday, Chuck Schumer, the minority, operative word, minority leader of the Senate, said to the Senate, and specifically to the Republicans, if you eliminate Obamacare, your goal is to make America sick again, and you're going to own it. So here we have the Democrats trying to intimidate the majority Republicans to get their way. Now, here's the critical thing. This next 100 days is going to be a battleground between the Republican majority and the Democratic minority, and they're going to try their tactics. But they've got to keep in mind that a third of the Senate is up for re-election in 2018, and there are more Democrats up than Republicans, and already 5 Democrats have indicated that they're not going to run for Senate again. So if you're one of those remaining 10 to 12 Democratic senators, are you going to play like the typical game where we're going to try and intimidate and risk the possibility the backlash throws you out of office in 2 years? Or are you going to try and save your chair, save your seat at the lunch table by being more cooperative? Well, we're going to find out in the next 100 days.
It depends if they drink the Kool-Aid or not. Some of them actually believe this bullspit, Some of them actually believe this nonsense that, oh my God, you're going to hurt people if you repeal Obamacare. But nobody ever worried. Never, ever, Dan Perkins, was there an argument ever. What if you hurt the Wayne Roots of the world by passing Obamacare? What if you triple my rates? My rate was $500 a month, and now it's close to $2,000 a month. So you quadrupled me. Nobody cared about that.
And what are your deductibles?
Oh, monstrous. So I get nothing for for quadruple the rates. I get nothing. Insurance pays for nothing.
Right. And so I think that the American people figured that out. And when they started seeing the rate increases, and then we had the rate increases just before the election, which I think was part of the backlash from the Republicans and some Democrats and independents who thought it was just obscene. The Democrats are trying to say, well, if you leave it alone, if you don't change it, if you don't get rid of it, the rates will come down. Well, should we believe them? I don't think so.
Well, I wouldn't believe anything they say, because you're talking about Barack Obama as an example. For the last 8 years has said, we don't need a wall, we don't need a wall, we don't need a wall on the border. Nobody's coming over the border. There's not a problem. Look away. There's no problem. Now he's building his new house in Washington, D.C. What's around it?
Build the wall.
Right.
Build the wall. Right.
They're all hypocrites.
Absolutely.
They're all liars. But here's the good news. Without a Democrat president in place like Obama, there's nobody to put their boot on the neck of the Democratic senators and say, I expect you to stand the line and not allow the repeal of Obamacare. Who is it that's going to, cajole them and be a cheerleader when there's no president there? There's no one, right? It's just Schumer, big deal, Chuck Schumer. But there's no Hillary and no Obama. I think they'll cave. I really do.
I would like to, I want to hope and agree with you, because I think it would be good for the country, but it would be incredibly, incredibly disastrous for the Democratic Party. I mean, what we finally figured, America finally figured out in this election in 2016 that all along the Democratic Party was a minority party.
Right.
Minority party.
Yeah.
60. If you watch the election night coverage, you heard the mainstream media create a new racial slur. It is called non-college educated white people. That's a new racial slur. And they believe it was the non-college educated white people who screwed up this election process.
Right.
And so they're now trying to figure out, well, where do they go from here? And you can see that still today. There are people still reeling from the result of the election. Nobody yet, and I say, when I use the word yet, nobody is yet willing to admit that the problem with the Democratic loss was the nature of the candidate they had running for office.
Right. Agreed. Well, both candidates, both Hillary and Obama, were terribly flawed candidates, but one was black and the other was white. The one who was white, the flaws shone through. The one who was black, people just refused to admit the terrible flaws because they wanted so badly to believe that it would be great for America to elect a black guy. That's all it was. Terribly flawed, just as flawed as Hillary, but nobody, but nobody cared. They ignored the flaws. With the white woman, they at least saw the flaws. Okay, they weren't feeling like they'd be racist if they voted against Hillary, and that was our little edge that allowed us to win in a few key states, or we wouldn't have won that one either. Sad. Yeah. Sad commentary.
I understand.
Hey, Dan, how do people reach you, Dan Perkins? What's a good place for them to go?
Website is danperkins.guru. A lot of my commentaries and I'm also now writing for constitution.com. And a lot of my commentaries are there. Information about my books, interviews that I've done on shows like yours all over the country are there. And you can get my books, or you can go to Amazon or Barnes & Noble and get the first three, the trilogy books. I've written a sequel, which would be out sometime in the first quarter of 2017. I have my first children's book, which is available on the website. It's about a Irish mythology. And I'm about 84 chapters into my first genre into historical fiction with a book called Abraham Lincoln and the Second Assassin.
All right, danperkins.guru. Did I get that right? .guru?
Yes, you did.
danperkins.guru. Dan, great to have you on. Thanks again. Happy New Year, my friend.
Thank you. Anytime.
All right, WAR now. We shall return. Lots of calls. Nothing but calls. I've left a stretch of real estate just for you. 702-546-4790. Get on the lines. Fill up the queue. Make it rain for Wayne. We'll be right back. All right, Wayne Allyn, WAR now, back again. Last 25 minutes of the show of the first day of the first week of second week of January, right? I'm losing time here. What happened to the first week of January? Where did it go? I have no idea. Can't even say Happy New Year anymore. No point in Happy New Year. It's almost inauguration time. February 20th, first day of the new president, Donald Trump. I will be there. Lucky enough, blessed enough to be on the friends and family invitation list of the new president of the United States. I always call Donald Trump my friend. Now I am officially the friend of the president of the United States. Great honor. Thank you, Donald. Great honor. And all access invite to all of the great events at the inauguration. And I'm honored. I'm also going as the host of the Nevada delegation, basically. We're all making a trip out there for Nevada, probably about 50 of us or so. And I'll be hosting the dinner the night before the inauguration. So lots of great things. It's going to be a busy few days in Washington, D.C. We've got lots of callers lined up, and we're looking for more. 702-546-4790. Nothing but calls in this half hour. 702-546-4790. Listener call-in number in California is toll-free, 844-263-8232. We've got the Ducky on line one. The Ducky? What is the deal with that? What do you mean the Ducky?
War man, happy. How are you?
Why are you the Ducky? What's the reason for that name?
It has to do with my real name. My birth name, last name is Duck, D-U-C-K.
Oh, cool. Okay.
So it just worked out that way.
I thought you were kidding around. You're serious.
I talked to you months ago, and I found out something. When you ran as libertarian, you ran with W.A.R, right?
Correct.
I voted for you. So did my wife. So did my kid. So that was 3 votes for the war man.
Cool.
I was thinking, why are we all upset about what the Democrats want right now? Why don't we pull what is called the Harry Reid nuclear option on, like, everything? Everything. Including, executive ordering everything Obama did.
I agree.
Is no longer valid. Bring them one at a time, state your case, and then re-gerrymander the entire country so there's no more liberals. How's that sound?
Ducky, I agree with you 100%. Why worry about what Democrats think? They never worried once in 8 years about what we thought. Obama got destroyed in a landslide in 2014, a congressional landslide, and he never once slowed down. He pushed through everything he wanted. He didn't care if the whole country just voted against him. The country just voted for us.
And we were supposed to put up with this, right?
Yeah. So I
they
agree.
say payback can be horrendous.
Payback is which rhymes with B, right? Payback is a B-I-T-C-H.
That's correct,
And,
yes, that's
and
right.
we should use reconciliation so you could pass with a simple 51-vote majority everything. And Trump should
every
use...
single thing, A to Z, everything, whatever you got. Let's do it with that, too. You know?
And also executive order, just like Obama did. Trump should use executive orders to erase Obama like he never existed.
And if by some weird chance that some of his EOs were actually good, bring them back. Trump will pass on them, as long as you got a good idea, I'm sure. Pass that on to Uncle Donald for me.
So I'm with you, Ducky. I'm with you. Even though your name is a little bit strange, I'm with you. Does anyone ever call you?
That's coming from the W.A.R. man. I think that is a compliment.
Does anyone ever call you a strange duck?
I get all kinds of stuff, man. It builds character, though,
All right, Ducky. Thank you for the call. We got Renee on line 2. Renee, you're on with the W.A.R. How are you?
Hi, Wayne. Happy New Year, first off.
Happy New Year. Although we're a week late, but Happy New Year.
I know. Have you heard of a guy? I'm sure you have. His name is Waleed Shuvat. You know who he is, right?
I don't know who he is. Tell me. Educate me.
Seriously? Okay. Yeah, I've seen him. He has his own website. He was on another conservative station today for like a half hour. He used to be Palestinian, and he converted to Christianity. And he schooled the FBI on terrorism. And CARE went after him and got him taken out for a while. But he's back on. He has his own website. And according to him, since he knows Palestinian rules and everything about it, according to him, this guy at the Fort Lauderdale airport was definitely a sleeper for jihad. That's number one. But what troubles him even more, listen to this part. This will really get you. He is more worried about anti-Semitism throughout the world. He said on YouTube, for instance, they have stuff that they won't take down called Holocaust fake. And he is definitely a pro-Jew. He's worried about genocide of the Jews. He's been monitoring them very carefully, all these groups. And he's telling us that even in Israel now, they have neo-Nazi groups that are coming from like Lithuania. And Hispanic Catholics are converting to Islam. And in Mexico, what's happening is they're selling swastikas in the streets. So he's saying the whole world is turning away from Judeo-Christian values. He's got his own website, and I think maybe you want to read it and learn some more about him. It's just Shoebat, SHOEBAT.com. Fascinating man.
Well, I appreciate it. Thank you. And by the way, I will mention that Megan Barth, who's guest hosting tomorrow and who's in every Tuesday and Thursday for an hour here with me, Megan called in on Friday when we were having that terrorist attack at the airport, and she was the one who said it appeared that it was a Islamic terrorist attack. I was the one who said he appeared to be a crazy man who in his head dreamed that he was ISIS-inspired, but just appeared to be just plain nuts, and went into an FBI office and said, the government's in my head, and they're forcing me to watch ISIS videos. So to me, he seemed more nuts than Islamic, more like an Islamic wannabe, but nonetheless, an Islamic-tinged terror attack, but really a crazy man. But I think Megan was right, because now I've seen not only what this Palestinian guy is saying about this guy being a jihadist, but also Charles Johnson, who I respect, one of the best conservative investigative reporters in the country. Charles Johnson investigated this guy and found out on his MySpace page. First of all, if you have a MySpace page, you're probably really, really a has-been, okay? You really are mentally ill. Who the hell has a MySpace page anymore? But on his MySpace page from 10 years ago, he converted to Islam. So this was some sort of an Islamic terror attack lone wolf. But again, the media is covering it up, and the Obama administration is covering it up. This did have everything to do with Islam. All right, we've got Rand on line 1. Rand, you're on with W.A.R. How are you?
Hello. On the media here this weekend, the typical NBC, ABC, CBS, all the ones that have fawned over Obama for the last decade, have just been really pushing this Russian hacking report. And the reality is that the FBI did not do that report. The CIA did not do that report. There was a private third-party company called CrowdStrike, whose biggest benefactor has been the DNC, the Democratic National Convention is their biggest account. It was formed by a $100 million loan from Eric Schmidt, the head of Google, who's a big Obama contributor, and the Google employees that work in the Obama administration, and the $800,000 that the Google employees gave Obama, and millions to Clinton. And this is just another smoke and mirrors from the Democrats. It's a third-party company that Obama says, make it look like the Russians did it, and that's what they're doing.
Listen, I agree. I found it interesting that, Reince Priebus, hopefully I'm pronouncing it right, the former head of the Republican National Committee and now Donald Trump's chief of staff, went on the talk shows just yesterday and said, we agree. Donald agrees that the Russians were absolutely part of the hacking. I don't know why he said that. I guess to get the issue behind us and just move on, because it's the most unimportant issue in the world, even if they were. But they weren't. This is all nonsense. Total, complete nonsense. I agree with you.
It's just more liberal, devious manipulation, and they got the press. People start believing this stuff. It's pure Saul Alinsky theory, and that's what they do. And it's really frightening when 94% of the media says that they are, in fact, liberal. Thank you very much, sir. Great show.
Thank you. Appreciate it. We're going to an ad break. When we get back, last segment of the show, we'll take your call, 702-546-4790, and I'll tell you about an ABC ad that enraged NFL viewers just yesterday. Wayne Allyn wore now. By the way, the national championship game just started. Alabama already ahead 7-0. They are just a juggernaut. War now. Look, I know that I'm a homer and I like the police most of the time, 99% of the time I'm on the police's side. And when kids get shot very often, or when criminals get shot, they complain. And I say, look at their criminal record. Look at the guy who got shot by the Vegas police last night. Man shot by plainclothes Las Vegas police, has lengthy criminal record. This is in the RJ right now. It'll be tomorrow's RJ, but it's online. A 48-year-old man who was shot by a plainclothes police officer Thursday night had a criminal record with 112 arrests and 11 felony convictions dating back to 1987. Thomas Lamar Cotton was shot in the left buttock. You know, that's the perfect place to shoot a guy like that, I must tell you. Doesn't get any more perfect. Maybe the groin area, but the buttock is definitely pretty good. He's accused of trying to rob the undercover detective. Smart move. Prior arrests include robbery, auto burglary, drug possession, larceny, forgery, violating parole and probation. He's just a one-man crime wave. And so now you know why I'm usually on the police's side, because that's not a nice guy. That's not a good guy. Why would I feel sympathy to him for getting shot by the police in the buttock when he has 112 arrests in his history? I'm glad to get him off the street. That's why I take the police's side. You want that guy in your home? You want that guy hanging out with your kids? You want that guy babysitting your children? You want to sit at the kitchen table with him? I don't. You want to meet him outside a restaurant sometime in an alleyway while you're getting your car? I don't. Thank God for the police detective in the plain clothes who goes out in the dark, risks his life getting mugged and held up by gunpoint, and shoots a guy. You're damn right I'm on the police's side. All right, let's go to cut number 12. Blackish, the ABC TV show, and an anti-Trump promo running during NFL playoff games yesterday. Headlines on the internet. ABC enrages NFL viewers with anti-Trump Blackish promo. What if the shoe was on the other foot? What if the pot was calling the kettle black, as they say? What if you actually had an ad where they made fun of white people that voted for Obama? How would black people react to that? How would Democrats react to that? How would the media react to that? A sitcom where they made fun of a white person voting for Obama. You can't do that. What a terrible mistake. Boo. White people would be going, boo. You voted for a black man? How would you feel about that? Many viewers were annoyed at the promo for next Wednesday's episode of Blackish on ABC, which features a predominantly African-American cast, being decidedly anti-Trump in tone and nature. In the promo, which bills the episode as the election through the eyes of Blackish, Lucy, a white character, tells her predominantly African-American coworkers, I voted for Trump, before adding, I'm a racist? No, I have black friends. In another scene, her colleague, Wanda Sykes, appears to kick out at her for merely expressing that she had chosen to cast her vote for the Republican Party. Meanwhile, the show's protagonists, Drew and Rainbow, are seen looking, you know someone's not a Republican when their name is Rainbow, are seen looking crestfallen at the outcome of the election, while in another scene, Rainbow shouts, Go Hillary. The announcer goes on to promise, they'll be tweeting about this one. So football fans are objecting. One of them said, why does the NFL keep playing anti-Trump commercials for the terrible show Blackish? They must not know their audience. Another viewer fumed, I'm offended at the preview for the show Blackish about voting for Trump makes you a racist. Another one tweeted, no one watches Blackish. Not everyone who voted for Trump is a racist. This show caters to the lowest common denominator. Well, Steve James declared on the online social networking service, man, Blackish looks so original. A Trump voter isn't racist because she has black friends. Can't wait to never watch a second of that show. I love how creative people are, you know? I mean, these are average people. They're writing really funny stuff. Actually, better stuff, I'm sure, than the comedy writers of Blackish. So it's pretty funny. Can you imagine, by the way, a show named Whitish? You know? Or maybe if I did it, it would be called Jewish. What would they say? Whitish Jewish. What would they say about that? It's racism, guys. And they don't understand that they're the ones who are the racists. It's unbelievable. It's like dumb Meryl Streep, ignorant Meryl Streep. Last night in the Golden Globes, not understanding what a fool she's looking like. Being a member of Hollywood, criticizing Trump as if Hollywood puts good stuff on TV and in the movies that encourage good behavior by people. She's mad that Trump offends people and hurts people's feelings. And in her mind, I guess, is bad for the morality of America. But she doesn't understand that Hollywood is bad for the morality of America. We've got Bob on line one. Let's take him. Bob, you're on with W.A.R. How are you?
I'm fantastic. And I'll tell you what, I'm even better after reading your columns and listening to you on the radio.
Thank you, Bob.
You know, no, you're more than welcome. This resonates especially with me. I'm going to tell you something. It only proves that, you know, a person with 108, did you say arrest or convictions?
Hold on. Let me go get it. Hold on. I got to make sure I got it right. Here it is. All right. So 112 arrests and 11 felony convictions dating back to 1987.
11 felony convictions. Is that a sad commentary where this guy is even on the street?
Right.
That's why it's so important here in our state to elect good conservative judges that will lock them up and throw away the key.
Lock them up. See, that should be our... Republicans are allowed to shout a theme, too, you know? Lock them up. Lock them up. I'm with you, Bob. Listen, you know I'm always pro-police, always pro-law enforcement, always good guys out there. Thank you, Bob. Appreciate it. I know so many of the listeners of this show are police and ex-police and other forms of law enforcement, FBI, Secret Service, always good guys in my book for the most part, except for the chief of the FBI under Hillary Clinton, who let her get away with murder, in my opinion. And then the liberals got mad because he said one word that maybe she did do something wrong. Maybe, kind of, maybe, a little bit. I'm Wayne Allyn. We'll see you tomorrow. Another show, another day. If you're a cop out there, be safe. God bless you. See you tomorrow.